We're
Action.
off. We're live. Woohoo! Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. As usual, we're going to have a few little housekeeping notes before we get right into the show. We have a very special guest today, and this is week number 10. It's
Nice.
hard to believe. We've been here for 10 weeks together. This is Confidence Strategies 101, and I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm a confidence strategist, an entrepreneurist, a behavioral coach. I used to work with Edgewood Center for Children and Families. And, every Tuesday we're here at 7 o'clock or right around there. And this time we share with you, we bring you two styles, two perspectives. That second perspective always comes from my partner, my co-host, my mentor, my buddy. You all know him as Mauricio Mejia. So Mauricio, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. It's been a busy week and it's only Tuesday, so it
Right?
feels like I've been I'm obviously getting adapted. I'm always changing things up, and today I'm
Yep.
just excited that what I'm doing with my new setup. So we're gonna try new things until we get things dialed in and keep people entertained. And anyway, so we're
Well,
good.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's live and it's always going to be an adventure, and we'll deal with whatever comes up.
That, that's an understatement. So last week obviously you were on the show with me on Wednesday, and I had the pleasure of having Stedman Graham on my show, and show number 10, but probably like 30 shows that I've done. I've never had a problem on Facebook Live, and of course, out of all the shows, I had to have 30 minutes, 25 minutes into the show, the internet goes down on me. So but that show business, and for
It
me,
is.
just like business and then just like life, you got to be ready for the unexpected curveballs, and you have to be able to pivot, and that's
That's
what I
right.
did. So I
And
pivoted.
you did it. Yeah, you did it beautifully. So I
Yeah,
have to give you credit there because you were cool as a cucumber. But I know that feeling.
yeah. You guys only saw the cool side of me. You didn't see how soaked my shirt was from all the sweat from the tripping out. But you know what? Hey, that's how it is. And welcome to show business, and also welcome to live. That's
That's
part
right.
of the
That's
that's
right.
part of what it takes to be live. And you gotta, with technology, it just shows again you cannot put all your eggs in one basket. So
Right. Right. Hey,
uh,
I'm just excited that I can actually see us because I got new glasses, so everything is like crystal clear now. That's huge.
yeah, no, I don't wear my contacts on purpose. So I like the way the world is right now, blurry. But
Just
no.
like a
Anyway,
little softer on the edges.
yeah, no. So anyhow, I'm excited. I want to thank everyone for continuing to support us. We're 10 weeks. There's a lot of great things that are coming ahead for both you and I. We have a lot of great ventures that we're working on. Also on my end too. I'm going to be launching a possible third show now on Live, which I'm a co-founder of, and I'm excited about that. And
Yoo-hoo.
yeah, no, a lot of great things. A lot of great things are happening. I just want to say thank God, because without him and his energy, we none of this would be possible. So
That's right.
I want to thank you, and also our partners and the people that continue to support us, because without them, there is no us. And so it's again, we're all here to learn together and continue to move forward. But I don't want to talk about us. You got an exciting guest, and
Yes, we
I love the guests you bring, because I learn from them, and I always want to learn. So let's get going. Take it on.
Well, well, yeah, for sure. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about, right, how the best coaches have the best coaches. And these coaches that we're bringing onto our show are part of our referral pipeline. And
Mhm.
so what we want to do is showcase them and showcase the work that they do and how they're helping our community, what their, tools of the trade are, that sort of thing. So, a few weeks ago in our virtual studio, we had the International Man of Memory, Mr. Chester Santos. And last week we spoke to our friend, our lovely Moni from Moni Lane. She helps women who are starting out in business or pivoting or reinventing themselves. And her plan and her methodology is Dream, Plan, Succeed. And that's the basis and the core for her
I
work
love it.
that she does. Now, today, now I have to say, just from where I'm at right now in my life, in the last 10 weeks of my life, This guest is very, very special because she and I have something in common, and we'll talk about that. But let me tell you a little bit about her, Mauricio. You only got to meet her briefly backstage, and so I just want to share with you and everyone else what her background is a little bit. I'm not going to tell her story, but she is a 12-year lymphoma survivor.
Wow.
She has been working with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, which is the world's largest voluntary health organization, and it's dedicated to fighting blood cancer. She's also a fundraising coach. So you can imagine during this time period how important that role is for myself, for other people that are trying to do some good work.
Right.
We'll get to hear her story, right? And we'll also get to learn that confidence. How do you draw upon that for when you have such a drive to help a charitable foundation? Where do you draw that from? So without further ado, I just want to say, welcome to Megan Metcalfe.
Hi.
Nice. I'm excited. Hi, Megan. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Yes. I feel like it was very quick backstage. Also, I was telling Carmen, I'm really impressed with this setup. Like, I love that I was like virtually backstage. I feel very special being able to like hang out backstage.
We hope you like the compliment. We put the bike there for you if you want to.
Thank you. Yeah.
You want to do some exercise while you're in the background. There's a mirror back there. Make sure that
this green room is
full with refreshments. See, we're adapting to the new world. We're adapting to the new world.
This green room is just like
home. We
home.
wanted you to feel like you were home.
Exactly.
Right? Mission accomplished.
There you go. There you go.
Well, Megan, again, welcome to Confidence Strategies 101. We're really, really happy to have you join us. And of course, thank you for taking time out of your evening to be with us here. Before we really dive into the questions that we wanted to ask you, would you please share your story in your words so that not only are we going to get to know you better, but everyone else that's on will also understand sort of your background and where you come from. And if you don't mind sharing with us, your diagnosis 12 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a monumental moment. So I'd love to just, give the floor over to you right now.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm so it's funny that you asked that. I recently purchased Michelle Obama's the journal that accompanied her book, Becoming, and so that she has a journal with prompts every day. And one of the the very first prompt in this journal was just simply, "What is your story?" And so I feel like I'm very prepped. I did my homework for this question. So, and to your point, yeah, my diagnosis is a huge part of that story. So, I'm a Midwest girl. I'm from Ohio. I was born in Florida, but grew up in Ohio. So I'm a Midwest girl who moved out here a few years ago. I went to college in Ohio, went to Miami University, if anybody's ever heard of it. The original Miami. We were there before Miami, Florida. So I always have to give that little plug in there. I'm a huge sports fan. And so throughout college and even for years after college, my goal was to work in sports. And I did. I worked for the Cincinnati Reds. I worked for IMG Properties. I worked for Fox Sports for quite a few years. And so that's my background is in sports. And that's kind of what I did for a long time. But in between all of that, I received my cancer diagnosis. So I always tell people that February 25th, 2008 was the best day of my life because that was the day that I received my diagnosis. And I know that can sound a little almost too positive and a little bit too much, but I genuinely do believe that the day I was diagnosed is the best day of my life because it gave me this story and it gave me something unique and gave me a superpower that I can use to connect with people. So to your point, 12 years ago, I was diagnosed. It was diffuse large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I went through 7 months of treatment, about 8 rounds of intense chemotherapy, few surgeries, other things along the way. Anybody who's been through a cancer diagnosis is all too familiar with all of the experiences, lost my hair, all of that, but was very grateful to have a very well-researched type of cancer. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is pretty well-researched. And for being a 17-year-old, I was otherwise very healthy enough to withstand the treatment and make it to the other side. So that's when I went to college, worked in sports, and then I was just talking to my partner about this. I'm a very go, go, go person. And I think for a long time after treatment, I was very focused on getting back to normal, which is kind of funny because I feel like that's a phrase that we all are probably sick of hearing these days anyway. But I was very focused on getting back to normal, and I accomplished that. I got everything I wanted. And then a few years into working in sports, I kind of had the quarter life crisis, as us millennials like to call it, and was like, what am I doing here? I need to take a step back. And so I transitioned into volunteering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and then about 2.5 years ago, started working for them as a staff member. And it's been an incredible experience. It's been so therapeutic. I feel like I've been able to tap into parts of my story that I didn't tap into for a long time. And it's also just been so inspirational because for years and years, people have told me that my story inspires them, and I never understood why. But I've seen I've met so many other people who have similar stories to mine, and they inspire me so much. So I can kind of, I'm still a little question. I'm like, me, but I get it a little bit more now. So it's been a therapeutic experience. It's been a learning experience. I feel like I've grown as a professional in so many ways. And so that's what, where I'm at and what got me here.
Right. Thank you. Again, Mauricio, I think you had a couple of questions that you wanted to ask Megan.
Absolutely. And, I appreciate you being open and the fact that you're willing to share your story. And I think that's kind of it's what our intent is, to share with the world, our all different stories, and let people know that they're not by themselves. Being in business, people go through their similarities, whether you're in business, whether you're going through your health issues, or you just different parts of life. And when I hear that it was the greatest day of your life when you found out that you were diagnosed, it's, I think, the way I relate it is, and I've gone through different versions, is that it helps you find your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that leverage, that your drive on why. Okay, you're not going to give up. And some people can easily give up and call it a day. And then there's the other person. There's that instinct, that animal, that survivor instinct inside of us that wakes up when it comes to that type of when you're being put in that position. So thank you for sharing that, because not too many people can open up. I've shared my story, and I just once you do that, it's you just feel like freedom. So
it's incredible. Yeah, it gives people permission to share theirs, and I didn't know that until recently, honestly.
Right, and it does, because people feel like, oh man, well, he's real, or there's just the barriers start to come down, and then you start to feel comfortable. So again, I appreciate that. So we put some questions together, and I'm going to be respectful. I mean, it's the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, but we're going to, for abbreviation, so that I don't chop it up, it's LLS. So
yeah, that's perfect.
All right, so good. So Megan, your official title is the LLS. Senior campaign manager, but you see your role as a half account executive, half fundraising coach. As a fundraising coach, and I know how hard it is to fundraise, because I've sat on a couple of nonprofits too. What do you do, and how are you able to help others?
Yeah, wow. It is funny. I've thought about my role, and I'm like, okay, yeah, title senior campaign manager, but it's account executive, it's business development, it's sales, it's coach, and it's funny. I never really would have considered myself a coach until we kind of, got connected here. And I'm like, oh, okay, that does make sense, because I think coach is probably the best adjective, or, for what I do, because I think it's really about developing relationships with volunteers. That is the biggest thing, and that is the most important thing that you can do, as whether you work as a fundraiser professionally like I do, or whether you're doing what Carmen, what you're doing, and fundraising separately. I think building relationships with people is the most important thing, and it's the foundation of all success. And I've seen that. I've been with LLS for about 2.5 years, but I've bounced around a few different roles. And the role that I'm in now, I've only been in for a little over a year, but it's been so cool to see from day one, when I started to meet these people and meet my teammates. So I work on our team and training campaign, which is the endurance sports training arm of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And when I work with my teammates, when I first met them, I didn't quite know how to motivate them and to ask. I never felt comfortable asking them of anything or asking them to do anything. But in the year that has transpired since, I feel like I know them, and I feel like we can, now that we have this relationship and we have that rapport, I can ask them to do hard things. I can ask them to set really high fundraising goals. Right. I mean, some of them still look at me like I'm crazy, but that's fine. And I probably am in most cases, but I think it's really the most important thing I do is building relationships. My a fellow colleague of mine, an executive director at the Northern Ohio chapter of LLS, her LinkedIn bio tagline is, I think it's something along the lines of curing cancer one relationship at a time. And I am just so angry that I didn't think of that first, because I want to steal that and I want to put it on my LinkedIn profile. Maybe I should just ask her if I can steal it. I don't know, but I think that that's so true. So that's what we do in our roles, is developing relationships with people and finding where they want to have the most impact. So is it with Team in Training? Is it with our Team in Training campaign? Is it with our Man Woman of the Year campaign? We have something for everybody in whatever stage of life that you're in.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I know, trust me, I know it's tough to raise money. I took one organization here in San Jose, the PAL, which is a police athletic league. They were negative 93,000 when I first got on the board, and this was back in 2014. And within the first year, we took it to positive. And then by the second year that I had finished my second term, or my finished my first term and second year, we took it to over $300,000 in the plus. And but it was all relationships. You have to, that person has to be the people person to go out there and hunt for the money. And really, it's a hunt because it's just like anything. You're going to get a lot of no's, and then eventually you're going to get that yes, and then your confidence starts to build up, and then you start to get a lot of yeses, because you start to learn how to navigate those waters. And one of the things that I tell people is, hey, any dollar amount counts. So whether it's $5 or $10 or $10,000, any dollar counts towards the cause. So you start to educate people and showing them to give. And when you give from your heart, believe it or not, that magic comes back, and all the next thing you know, you're being rewarded 100 times. And without even thinking about it, you're just naturally just doing it. So that's awesome. Okay, well, great. I have another question too. It's kind of a follow-up to that. Is what makes you different from all the other coaches? And is it because of your personal battle with lymphoma?
I think that's definitely a part of it, or that's definitely one component. I'm very lucky to actually, the girl that I manage, the girl that I work with, she's also a survivor. So the two Team in Training teammate or staff members, we are both survivors, which is incredible. And there's lots of other survivors that work for LLS. So I think it definitely sets me apart in a little bit of a way. And I think Carmen and I were kind of talking about this prior backstage, and I was saying I think that that's definitely something that it helps me in my role, because I think it helps me relate to people and show. I think we were kind of talking about this earlier. I think one of the most important things is showing that authenticity and bringing down walls. And I think by sharing my story, a lot of my teammates know that I'm here and I'm in this role because I care. It's no secret that we don't make a lot of money in nonprofit, and I wouldn't be here if, that's not the motivation here. So it's not some superficial motivation. I'm here because I can't say what I normally say to my teammates, but I give a what, and that's what I tell them. And I think that
no, you can say it here. So by the way, today I was watching.
Do you guys have a beep feature?
No. This is the real world. This is sometimes people have to feel it and feel the passion. Yeah. I'm a big Tony. I was going to say earlier, one of my biggest things on when I realize people can be real is when they swear. Crazy as it sounds. I remember the first time I heard a politician swear, I was like, oh shit, did he swear right now? Because if he swore, he's my number one. He's my favorite politician. And then my next one was, I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. And when Tony Robbins starts dropping the F-bombs and all kinds of bombs, I'm like, now he's real, because at the end of the day, we can speak properly, and that's great. We want to be, but you know what? Sometimes people need to feel the impact of when the shit hits the fan. Megan, when life came crumbling down for you, you felt it, and you had to like put that out, and and you really had to dig deep. And you know what? We want people to feel that. We want them to really dig deep and say, you know what? This is life and shit happens. All right, guys?
I'm totally with you. When somebody swears, I'm like, me and you, we're friends.
I would imagine.
And Carmen, though, Carmen is like, I know right now she's probably holding onto the table like, oh my God, what is he doing? Like,
no, not at all.
I'm like, no, I'm all in. I'm on the. I'm
misconception here.
Yeah.
There's a misconception. No, two things I was going to note was, I think when you're very competitive, athletic, I think that is part of it. But I also feel like there's a it's expression. I'm all about expression and communication. And so for me, I don't use those words all the time, because when I do use them.
Which words are you referring to, Carmen?
When I'm cussing and swearing, Mauricio.
I have a potty mouth and I can't, and I know how to control myself, but you just activate me.
Because this is the two sides and the two viewpoints, right? But when I am in that state where I feel that need to cuss and swear, trust me, people take notice.
It's more effective. No, my mom is that way. Like whenever she says a swear word, my dad and I are both like,
oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Yeah, this is serious now. This is serious.
Yeah, you know she's serious. Yeah. So I appreciate the more sparing uses too, because then you know it's you better listen.
I want you to feel comfortable here. I mean, come on, you overcame a big challenge. Saying a word to express yourself and the impact. Please, just and again, I'm not saying this. We're gonna have we're not gonna go that direction. I'm just saying. Again, thank you, just one, for again opening up, and not too many people can have that, which is going to lead to some of the other questions we have later regarding confidence. So anyway, I can keep talking. Carmen knows that, and I'm just going to be mindful of our time here. So go ahead, Carmen.
Well, I mean, I also wanted to touch on, and we started to talk about this, backstage. Is you and I, of course, right now, we got to meet. Even though it's still two-dimensional, but we got to see each other, meet each other for the first time on this, backstage on this live. But we do have our bonding experience, both of us working on this campaign. It's been a very interesting 10 weeks, I must say. I would have to say that, as I started to share with you, Megan, I was all ready to go for the fundraising that I'm accustomed to doing, the events and all of that. And what I was really surprised with, and understandably so, it just was a surprise to me, was that a lot of people in my age group, my generation, just can't make the transition to virtual. And so half, or probably more than half, of my go-to camp disappeared on me. They're just like, I don't do virtual. I wouldn't even know how to log on to do a virtual auction. And so I have to say there were a few moments, in addition to everything else that's been happening in these last 10 weeks. I was almost derailed a couple times. I was confused, and I was sort of disheartened, because my goal, I'll be really honest here, I do feel the sting of not reaching a goal. And not that I've always reached all my goals, but my goal was to raise $50,000 this year. And
which is an incredible goal.
Thank you. Well, but because
we were working on some high level, like we were working on bringing Stedman to be a part of our fundraising team.
Right.
You mentioned, Carmen, right now about people adapting. Stedman, prior to him doing an interview with me last week, Stedman was anti going on Facebook Live or any kind of lives because there's no censorship. It's live. I mean, look what happened last week. So he was very anti. And then last week, or the week before, when we got onto our call, his conversation with me was very different. He says, hey, we have to now adapt to today's world. And I was like, did you just say that? And I'm glad that you're saying that, because now it's living on real, that we have to adapt. So if we can get Stedman to adapt to that environment, we can continue to move forward on getting people to, no different than a GoFundMe, but we got a big purpose here now to, it's got some weight behind it, and you were doing a great job. We were working on it. Yeah.
We really were. I mean, I have to say, of course, thank you, Mauricio, for supporting me. But my question to you, Megan, I just kind of shared, I am disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Like, I can't hide that feeling of not reaching my goal. And I believe that I would have done it. But how did, doing during this COVID-19 thing and everything else that we've been bombarded, how did you keep from being derailed? Or did it affect you in a different way? I'd love to, I know that sometimes when we hear someone else's perspective, it makes you feel a little bit better. So maybe for selfish reasons, I just would like to hear your
Misery loves company here, or what? What's going on?
I totally
Carmen is
hear
beating
you.
herself up. Carmen is, but you know what though? That's good, because that shows the competitiveness that comes out of her and her passion. So
I wish I could have done better, but it's not over. It's not over.
It's not over. And I think so if you were one of my teammates and I was working with you, I would say, one, recognizing your passion and your and excitement for wanting to set that high goal and going for that, but then just kind of commiserating with, and just sitting with that for a second, because like, I think that is probably the biggest thing that I've learned in the last few weeks, honestly, is this balance of, allowing yourself the time to feel like crap, to feel disappointed, to feel bad. Like, I'll be honest with you, leading up until like the past 2 weeks were really rough for me. It was funny when I was like, how on earth am I going to do this interview about confidence when I don't even feel it? And it's, I think it's important. And for me personally, I just had to allow myself the space to kind of, say I don't feel okay right now. I tried not to talk to too many of my volunteers and rub that off on them too much, but it's allowing yourself that space, but also being honest with people and letting them know that as well. So I hear you on that disappointment, because in addition to being a staff person who is coaching teammates on how to fundraise right now, I'm also, I've also experienced that disappointment myself. I was in the midst of, I had set a $26,200 fundraising goal while I was training for my first full marathon. And it was the London Marathon, and it was supposed to be in April. It's now postponed to October. Don't even know if that's going to happen. My fundraising is on pause. So I think it's definitely okay to feel that disappointment. But for me, one of the things that I'm looking most forward to in my personal journey in fundraising and what I share, with my teammates is, okay, maybe it's not right now, but it will be later. Like, we will get there eventually. I had our cycle team was going for a $500,000 fundraising goal as a team, and unfortunately it's been put on pause for a little bit. And it's just the thing that I've had to learn is to allow them the space to pause and allow them the time. And right now is not the time for me to push people. Right now, at least in my specific campaign, right now is my time to connect with my volunteers and to develop, going back to what we talked about earlier, developing those relationships even more. So that's, what I'm doing right now. And I'm telling them, hey, it's okay. It's okay to take a pause. But then that $500,000 goal, we just have more time to do it now. We just have more time. So it's, I think the keys are allowing yourself the space to feel like crap and to feel disappointed, but then figuring out a way to get to the other side of it. I think that's the biggest thing, is you can only, you can allow that time for a little while, but you have to know when to say, all right, come on, girl, let's go.
I got it. Thanks, coach.
Yeah.
There's a lady that Amy Robbins is it Amy? No, it's Robbins is her last name. She's a great speaker, and I think I got it right. And she does with the countdown rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then she uses that momentum. So she's, example, she's laying in bed, she doesn't want to get up. Well, just by the fact you're counting backwards makes you focus and think. So she does a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And when you use that technique, it just gives you that momentum. I've done, like today it's been a busy, I told Carmen, I said, it's only Tuesday and it feels like it's already, it's been nonstop, and I'm not even done. We still got a lot to go, and it's just, we're just crazy, but
Right.
Yeah, certain tactics that you have to use in order to be successful. And then, it's like you said, you have to adapt as well. It's no different like in
Mhm.
sales.
Mhm.
When you get so many no's, and then eventually you're like, why do I continue to keep getting no's? And then you have to do a self-reflection of yourself and say, okay, maybe if I try this, this, and this, and it's just a combination of things, and you'll learn to start to read people and read the organizations that are contributing. So
Right.
anyhow, so I'm going to dive right into our other questions. We have a couple more questions that I want to ask. Again, I want to be mindful of your time. And
Yep.
so
We might have already answered a couple of these, though.
yeah, no. So, but and I think that I just to reiterate it, it's obviously when people are working with you and to raise money for LLS, as their coach, how do you help them build their self confidence, their self esteem, and so they can, ask for those donations because and again, I just kind of gave my own version. People have to pivot and adjust, but what's your version? I mean, how do you? Is it a pep talk? Is it Is it from just your experience? And obviously, you're obviously right now, or I don't want to say right now, but when you're not having a good week or a good fundraising momentum, you can't show that to the team. You got to continue to be that motivator, that leader. What's the technique? Share with us.
Yeah, I think to the last point that you were saying, I think one of the keys and one of the things that we've found right now, and one of the things that's kept me going, is finding the things that I can control. And so, one of those things I can control is just checking in with people. And one of my coworkers said it best, or had a really good point that we need to be able to be a source of positivity for people right now. And so I think that's our job in this moment. But I think in other situations to really motivate people to fundraise more and to set high goals, I think I try to lead by example. So that's what got me to decide to train for my first marathon and set a high fundraising goal, because I think there's no, I know me, and if somebody was telling me to set a goal of $10,000-$20,000 and they'd never done it themselves, I'd be like, okay, we're done here.
Right.
So
that's a really good point.
Great point.
And that's how I am. Yeah. So when I got into this role, I was like, okay, I need to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. Maybe that's not the best phrase, but lead by example is probably the better phrase. I think it just allows me to know what they're feeling and to know how hard it is. I had, prior to setting this goal, I'd never, I've always done fundraising events in the last 12 years since my diagnosis, but I'd never, really set a high goal. So it showed me the power of that and leading by example. And then I think the other thing is just to, really be able to show people there, at least in what we do in nonprofit, and particularly, with our organization. I think you just have to be able to show people the impact that they can have. And in a lot of cases, a lot of the teammates that I work with, Team in Training has been around for 30 years. And in our case, a lot of our teammates have been doing this for a long time. So not only showing them the impact that they can have, but reminding them and thanking them for the impact that they have already had. So I think that's the key with a lot of our teammates who come back who have been doing this, for a long time, is thanking them and just being gracious and thanking them again and showing them the impact that they've had. And so I try to, I'm a numbers person. I like data. I like being able to, pinpoint it back to things. So I like to be able to tell people, hey, you guys have raised this much money, and did you know that this many blood cancer drugs have been approved by the FDA, and LLS had funding in, I think it's like 51, I should know this, it's 52 of the 58 since 2017, which is an incredible number. And I will tell people that until I'm blue in the face, because I think it's important that they know that their impact, their fundraising, and their hard work is yielding results.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I use that tactic in business. I use that, and so what you're saying, even in the nonprofit world, in the business world, in the for-profit world, you have to associate yourself with people that have been much more higher in level of success than you. So I can't learn if there's a guy that's over here hoorahing and talking about, you got to do 150,000 or whatever, some big dollar amount, and yet you've never done it. I don't have the level of respect. So, and then as you climb higher in the world of either raising money or in the financial world, you also have to associate yourself with bigger goals and be around the people that are doing it, because
Mhm.
a lot of people can talk about it, but unless you've done it, you
Mhm.
don't know you don't know the experience. And then, I don't want to
Mhm.
say what I've learned. When I made in the business side of my world, when I made my first million at a very young age, I wasn't disciplined enough to understand how to maintain it. But as I got to the levels and then I lost it, I learned how to respect it. And when it comes to the art of raising money, it's an art, whether it's for profit or nonprofit. It's
Mhm.
an art. You have to know how to navigate that and how to be genuine and authentic with people, so that they also know that it's
Yeah.
the cause is real. So
Yeah. And I like your point. I want to talk at what you talked about with like setting those goals high. I think that's the other key thing too, is, you set your goals high and people will follow.
yeah,
And then we
as
tell our
long as
fundraisers that all the time. Like if you have a goal of, let's say you want to realistically raise, you think you can realistically raise $20 or $10,000. Let's just say 10. Set your goal at 20. Publicize your goal at way more than what you actually think you're going to do. Like my personal goal for my fundraising, my commitment, what I committed to raising was 20, but my public goal, I don't know if I should be admitting this. My public goal is that 26
X
too.
amount dollar.
Right, yeah. So you gotta, I think
a plus or minus.
yeah.
No. And that's exactly what I've done is you have to set a higher standard, and you have to raise your bar. And once you do that, then you'll see that
Mhm.
you have a vision, you have a goal, and that's how you direct yourself. I always tell any of the people that work with me, my mentees, I tell them the first question that comes out of my mouth is, "What's your numbers?" And they're like, "Huh?" Like deer in the headlights. And I'm like, "What are your numbers? What's your goal?" And they're like, "Well, this is what I'm doing." I said, "That's not your goal. That's what you're doing." I said, so what I do is then we work backwards. I said, "Give me what is it that you want to reach?" And then they say, "Oh, I want to reach $10,000." I'm like, "Okay, so let's work backwards. $10,000. What are you selling?" Blah.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I got your numbers, and then I even break it down even per day or per week. I can even break it down per hour, depending on what type of business it is. So I know that what your goal is and how much, because people think they confuse busy with productivity. Busy just means you can be going in circles. I can be just turning around in circles, and yeah, I'm busy, but I'm not being productive. I'm still in the same place, and I'm not being productive. So I'm just burning energy. So people confuse it, and they have to understand. You have to be very specific. I've learned, and I think you do this in fundraising. I have a list. I have a list of my winners, and then I have my list of my wish list of the people that I think I'm like, all right, maybe they're ready this time to give me that $50,000 or the 10,000 or the 25,000.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that list is going to be very small. And then you have your big list of all the small donors that you can count on. Hey, I need $100 from you, and you have $100 times. If you do the numbers, then they compound and they add up to you. So, but yeah,
I also wanted to add to that. I think, what's really important is like what you just said, Mauricio, is sometimes, at least what I found in this process, even though I was already almost derailed, right? But I just said, well, they didn't say no. They just said nothing, or they just said, oh, not right now. This is too weird. And so I was trying to figure out different ways to ask. And tonight I got a surprise. Hey, listen, I want to do whatever it is they're going to do. It doesn't matter the amount. It's just the fact that, oh, okay, this was 10 weeks ago, and I didn't hear a peep up until now. So to me, that's worth it.
That's
right.
Yeah.
It's setting those goals and then just saying, okay, they didn't say, hey, stop bugging me.
No. And most people won't when it comes to fundraising. It's, I in my personal recent experience with, I had one person tell me no. One. That's it.
No.
And
well, I'm relentless. I'm relentless. And you tell me no. If you tell me no, you better be ready for the next question. Why? Come on,
exactly.
And if it's because you don't have, and then I don't shame people, but I'm like, come on, you don't have $5. You don't have $5 or $20 to just give me a donation. Don't tell me no. Give me a donation. Come on.
But you have to be persistent. You have to be resilient with all of this. Yeah, it's pleasantly persistent is what you got to do in fundraising. I will send my check-ins. I will remind people, and that's the key. I think that applies to so much, but at least with fundraising in particular, that's one of the things we tell people is just the follow-up is huge. That is huge.
The gold is in the follow-up. The riches are in the follow-up. I'm going to tell you, I'll share a true story really quick just to kind of, and because I can keep talking, I got one more question that I'm going to go here. But
he's so shy, Megan. He's so shy.
I know. How do you get him to talk?
I know. Just in business, when I had to raise my first $1 million for my business, I was relentless. And what I learned though was that raising big money was easier than raising small money. And I'll give you a comparison. So I ran in 2014, I ran for city council for city of San Jose. And I had to, they have the rules are you can only raise in increments, so the max is 500 per person. So going to one of my big buddies that I know could write me a $10,000 check, I'm like, hey bud, I need you to write me a $500 check. He's like, really? You're going to make me write a $500 check? I'm like, yes. I need you to write me a $500 check. And if you have any other friends, I need you to bundle them so you can give me $10,000, blah, blah. So one of the best exercises that I went through were learning how to raise money for a business, private business. And then the second best exercise was running for a public office. For me, politicians are the best people to raise money. Why? Because they are persistent, consistent, persistent. I mean, to the point where finally, and if they know you well enough and you only donate minimum, they'll call you because they know that they can count on you for the maximum. So those exercises have really taught me and helped me build my confidence. So, so I'm gonna go to my last question here, which you've already answered the first half of this question, but I want to, and kind of going to where I was alluding, is what gives you the confidence to keep going aside from your own personal experience, or that may be the answer, but what really gives you that drive, that push to, because you got to always be closing. It's ABC, always be closing, and because you got to hit goals and. Collectively. So what keeps you going?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of it is, to your point, my personal experience, because while it was the best thing that has happened to me, I don't wish it on anybody. I don't want other people. I don't want other 17-year-olds to have to go through what I went through, because while I am lucky enough to still be on this planet because of the treatment, I have health issues that I have to deal with. I'm only 29 years. Yeah, I'm 29 years old, but I have to deal with health issues of past that, and I will for the rest of my life. So it's it's been kind of interesting in all of this too. I think I mentioned this earlier, how people keep talking about returning to normal and how that was such a goal for me as well. Post chemo, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
When people say the new normal, I'm like, please don't use that word. There's no new normal. We've adapted and changed. That's it. It's
and we have to embrace that. We have to be okay with that. And it takes time. It does. I'm not saying it's not like the day I got the diagnosis, I was like, woohoo. But in time, I learned to appreciate it and to grow from it. So I think to answer your question, that's part of it. My personal experience is I don't want other people to go through it. But I think the other thing that keeps me going is my teammates, is our volunteers. I was thanking, Carmen, before the show for all she's done to try and raise money for this cause, because it matters and it works. And, I think the thing that's kept me going the last couple weeks, our chief medical officer, Dr. Gwen Nichols, who I want to be like her when I grow up. She, shared with us on a call recently that research is going to slow potentially. I mean, we as an organization and so many other organizations are not going to be able to fund the amount of research that we normally do or that is normally funded. And I almost started crying on this call that she was sharing that, because that's unacceptable to me. That's just unacceptable. And I refuse to let research slow. I refuse to, let an up and coming scientist choose a different path because there's no money for them in this. I just don't accept it. And I don't know how else to say it. So that's what's kept me motivated and kept giving me confidence for once I got out of those funks to try and make some asks of people and to try and push people to do something, because we have to. We just have to.
And that was one of the things that I have to say is, when I was in those low periods, I knew exactly where to go for my inspiration. And those were the photos of Owen and Scarlett,
I love them so much.
I know. I just, the fact that children's pediatric treatments have been so few in the last 40 years.
Yep.
That to me was the part that is unacceptable. And not that, of course, everything else matters as well, but that's what's kept me laser focused in spite of COVID-19, in spite of everything else going on in the world. It's not that I don't care about what's going on in the world around me. I had a focus, and Mauricio, I'm going to quote you, because I decided when I accepted to do this fundraising, I decided to do it. I committed to do it. And then I began to execute. So my commitment, and it in no way, shape, or form does it dismiss or minimize anything else that's going on in the world right now. But this is what I decided to commit my time and energy for my personal reasons, what I shared with you. And so for me, I just didn't want to be derailed. But, there were a couple moments. I'm just being honest. There were a couple moments when,
and I think too, it's about one of the things I've because you're right, there's so many causes that need attention and need focus and need help right now. Gosh, we need to do a lot of work, y'all. But I think I was talking to a volunteer yesterday, a new volunteer. So she's so new to this. She's never really done fundraising before, and she had so many questions. And, I shared with her, I think that the key is just going back to what we talked about being authentic, but address the situation and address, just be upfront with people from the beginning. And I think that that's been one of the things I've learned in the last few weeks is just say, hey, I know that there's a lot of nonprofits, a lot of causes. I mean, we are in the midst of some serious change in our world, good change, that need attention. So if that is where your attention needs to be focused right now, go on and rock it. But if you're able to help with that and to help with this, I think that's the thing is we have to learn to kind of figure out, there's so many causes that need help. We have to figure out a way to do all of it. I'm trying to figure out how to, do, work on the side for me, and how do I support the Black Lives Matter movement while also supporting cancer research. And so we got to multitask. We just got to figure it out. We just got to do it.
And sometimes people do, it's like you said, oh, sorry, Carmen, it's just sometimes people get a donation. They go through that. There's so many things. There's so many causes that it wears on people as well.
Yeah, and that's when it's okay to take that pause.
Right.
Come back when you're ready.
Exactly. No, I was just going to say, and I know that we are taking up much more of your time, so thank you.
I feel like I'm like word vomit tonight.
No, this is good. But I was going to refer back to you. I'm quoting you again, Mauricio. See, I do listen. But what we were just talking about is you had said at one of our other shows about, being that sharpshooter and in business. And I kind of have been relating that, I would say in the last couple of weeks, is realizing we can't all be up in the front lines for everything and be the sharpshooters for everything. So I think it's just, we do the best that we can, and it comes from our heart, and we're doing what we can with what we have. So that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. That's part of all of it, right? And I know that we should let you go on and get on with the rest of your evening. So if you could just share with us just your parting words of wisdom and inspiration, what you would like everyone else to hear. And we have had some, I'm sorry that we're so engrossed in the conversation that I have not had a chance to really see.
I know. I kept meaning to say like, oh, thank you.
But just some words of inspiration during this time, and what what we've been trying to do for LLS, and how people, if they want to reach you and support your campaign or support my campaign, we're doing this through the end of the campaign, this particular specific campaign, which is Thursday the 25th. And we're doing an online auction and the grand finale. You're all invited. I'll post those links, but I'm just going to let you sort of lead us out.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that's such pressure.
No,
I think the biggest piece of advice, and it's one of, in that kind of maybe going for full circle to the beginning of this, that Michelle Obama becoming journal that I got. One of the other questions was, write some of your favorite quotes. And I think the one that I always come back to, and I know it's probably a cheesy one, but I think I've always found it useful, is just the be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. I think I've lived by that for years. And I think that's taken a little bit of a different spin on it for me in the last few weeks, is just to lead with empathy in everything that you do. And I think that's been the key for me professionally, personally, just lead with empathy. And that's going to be the biggest, that's going to help you in so many ways. Whether it's nonprofit, I know we might be a little bit fluffier in the nonprofit world sometimes and a little bit more, rah, but I think it's effective in business too. I remember, it doesn't take any extra time to be nice. I know we're all like trying to do a lot and we're trying to multitask and we got a lot on our plate, but fun fact, it doesn't take any extra time to be nice. So just be a good human, just be a nice person, lead with empathy, and you will get the results. So if anybody is interested in learning more about LLS, learning more about Team in Training, which is the campaign that I work with. So the good thing with LLS, like I said earlier, is we have so many different campaigns. We have Regatta, we have Light the Night, we have Man Woman of the Year, we have Team in Training. I'm forgetting somebody and they're going to probably yell at me later for it, so I'm sorry. But we have so many different campaigns that I think wherever you're trying to make an impact, and however, wherever you're at in your life, there's a campaign for you. So if you want to run a marathon with me, run a half marathon, and trust me, I was not an athlete. I was a band geek back in the day. So if this girl can be training for her first marathon, anybody can do it. So if that's your jam, if marathons, hiking, triathlons, cycling, if that's your jam, then find me on LinkedIn, find me anywhere, Megan Metcalfe. You got my name and the spelling, don't forget the E on the end. Find me and I'm happy to point you in either the Team in Training direction or any other direction for LLS. And I think the good thing with LLS is, while our focus is blood cancer research helps everybody. Because I'm sure we've all been affected. I know we have all been affected by different types of cancer. So blood cancer research oftentimes goes on to support and benefit other types of cancer research as well, and cancer treatments as well. So any support, like we said earlier, every little bit counts.
Yes. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you for spending, oh gosh, an hour with us. So we appreciate it.
I feel like we're BFFs now.
And I'll see you on Thursday.
Yes, and do not forget, go find Man Woman of the Year. Come to the grand finale. I mean, the good news, it's it's a little bit of a bummer that we can't be all fancy in the Ritz and do the in-person, but the good news is that anybody can attend now. We've got bigger capacity, so sign on, learn more about the campaign, and support Carmen.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Well, great meeting you, Megan, and continue on your journey. We pray for you and continue to wish for the best, and congratulations on your great cause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We had an incredible conversation. I think, talk about an inspirational human being there. I think her spirit, and I didn't even get a chance to tell her this, but her spirit just shines through, just even in the photograph. When she was diagnosed at a very early age, and we're just, there's angels among us, and I just feel like she is one of them, a warrior angel.
Awesome.
Well,
Well, good. We're for our 10th show. We've done well, and I think that great guest tonight, and I'm looking forward to the rest that you're bringing to us. And
Yeah,
great
well,
cause, great cause.
yeah.
It hits home. I know. I know people that have gone through some pretty crazy traumas in their lives, and have overcome, and they're still with us today. And hopefully we'll get them to share their stories with us. But
yeah, absolutely. And we do have some other fantastic guests coming on. We've got Linda Hales coming on. I just booked her last night, confirmed with her. She's a TEDx speaker. She's a sales and business strategist for women. She's coming on at the end of July. And we do have Veronica Penagos. She's an executive level coach. We've got Tony Too Cool Coleman. He was B.B. King's drummer. We've got Dr. Sandra Camacho. She's coming on, and she's the one that works with your chakras and your colors and your energy. And I know you're giggling again. So one of these days I'm going to find out why that causes you to giggle. And but I'm also talking to other people in other industries, fashion and modeling. We've got some amazing coaches that sort of fill out all the different areas that we are a part of. We're both in entertainment. We're both in hospitality. So just, we're really grateful that you stay with us. Thank you so much. Mauricio, do you have anything to share with us about tomorrow night?
So tomorrow night, I have a great guest, a woman entrepreneur, woman coach, woman executive here in the Silicon Valley. Lena Mendoza is going to be joining us. She's also she's one of Chandra Brooks's proteges or students. So she comes from a very strong background. So I'm looking forward to interviewing her tomorrow. It's going to be more of a learning for me. I think what grabs my attention about Lena is her energy and her silliness, and the way that she can open up and be herself and be yet taken serious and listen to what she has to share. So tomorrow's going to be an interesting one. And then getting ready for July. July is going to be an amazing month, and we got some great things coming ahead. So again, I'm excited about our show. This it continues to develop, and I continue to play around and experiment with my with this new technology that we got to get used to. Well, not even new, just this new way of looking and doing business and communicating to the world. So I look forward to continuing being here with you.
Yep, likewise. And thank you, everyone. Veronica, I saw David. I feel like Miss Marianne from Romper Room.
Elizabeth Diaz was here with us tonight, and she's got an amazing story. She's one of my mentees right now, and I'm helping her. I was one of my comments tonight was directed to her and inspired by her, was knowing her numbers. She's got a very successful business, and I got nothing but wishful, just powerful. Just want her to be very successful because she's just got an amazing business. So
yeah, fantastic. And once again, thank you to Megan Metcalfe for all the work that you are doing for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. I will see you on Thursday. And for anyone that is interested, I'm also going to post our link for the Man and Woman of the Year. We've got some really great auction packages and prizes. And if you want to get a little something in return for a donation, there's that. Or if like Mauricio said, $5, $20, $100, every little bit helps. So thank you so much for joining us for the full hour tonight. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next Tuesday at 7 o'clock on Confidence Strategies 101 with Milagro and Mejia. Good night, everyone. Thank you.